Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second shelf and to my Shorty September kind of pile of possibilities. Shorty September is a month-long readathon in which I don't even remember who started it. If you know, please remind me in the description box, in the comments. But it's about short books. So the definition varies a little bit, but for me, a short book is definitely under 200 pages. Between 150 and 100 and 200 pages. And I have compiled 10 books to show you. I have a couple of more books, rereads, short rereads, but 10 that are new that I want to share with you. And before I do that, a couple of you asked me in the comments on prior videos, whether I am doing the 30 in 30 challenge in August, so 30 books in 30 days, which I normally do every year because July is my birthday month and I acquire tons of books with my birthday. And the rule that I have, the only rule that I have, is that I have to read more books than I bring in. So per month normally, but certainly when I make the balance sheet at the end of the year. So that balance kind of gets thrown off, of course, in July, buying or getting so many books. And that's why I normally do in August a challenge that I read a book a day with one spare day if I can't make 30 in 30. But this year I just didn't do it. It just didn't work for me with my back issues and taking care of my mom and work stuff going on that is very unpleasant. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but it's really unpleasant. So I didn't want to add another chore, quote unquote. But what I will do is I will try to, not maybe 30 in 30 in September, but with the Shorty September, I will try to read extra books because these short books, most of them that I have, you can read actually in a day. So, but the real challenge, 30 books in 30 days, is not going to take place this year. Next year, hopefully. Anyway, getting into the books. The first one is a non-fiction book. Eve Babbitt's Slow Days, Fast Company. Is a collection of essays by the New York Review Book Publishing. So this is published in 2016, but it's a collection of essays that have been written and published in the early 1970s. I've been fascinated with Eve Babbitt for a long, long time. I've read a couple of her books. I read a book about her, a biography. This is a weird thing today, but you're just going to ignore that. And I picked this up. I wanted to pick this up because I've read John Didion, White Album, which is the late 60s. And this is a good companion book. And it is, 155 pages. So that's my first one. The second one is this one, The Last September by Elizabeth Bowen, published in the 1920s, I believe, 1929. This is a little bit longer than I would normally go for because it has 204 or 5 pages and the font is not big. But, it kind of qualifies, and it is the book pick for Sandy's book club for the 1001 books she wants to read before she dies. And I have a similar challenge with my own list, and we have books. There are books on both of our lists, and she made a plan for the year. You can find that down below. And September is The Last September by Elizabeth Bowen, an Irish writer, and it's about, it's set in the 1920s, early 1920s, during the Troubles, the early Troubles, between 1920 and 22, in an Irish castle, the big house, with parties and everything, with the English officers, and there is a war going on outside, so to speak. So I had tried Elizabeth Bowen once. Can't remember the title. Didn't really work for me. But everybody who knows my reading taste always says, Elizabeth Bowen, you will love her. So I hope that this one, yes. The next one is another nonfiction, another obsession of mine, Angela Carter. And she wrote The Sadian Woman in 1979, an exercise in cultural history about women and sex, sexual desire, but also pornography, women in Hollywood. And as you probably know, if you follow my channel for some time, this fits with the unhinged woman theme that I have going also for a book that I'm working on. And Angela Carter is a fascinating author whom I discovered late, but now I'm all in. And this is 160, 170 pages. But for a nonfiction where I really have to pay attention, it will take me probably more than a day. Next up is a present. And that is Willa Carter, Death Comes for the Archbishop. I got this for my birthday from Kim, from Middle of the Book March, and we, of course, will read this together in September. It's the font is okay, so it's 202 pages. Again, a little bit of the limit, but you know, it's based on a real life story. Two French, is it French? Yeah, French priests who have been sent to New Mexico to spread the gospel, and and it's their story based on the real lives of these two French priests, but of course it's fiction. So I'm very much looking forward. I read some Willa Carter, really loved it, loved her language. So looking forward to buddy reading this. Oh, and look at the beautiful author picture in the back. Buddy reading this with Kim. And I think we will start around the 10th of September or something. Then I have some leftover books from Women in Translation Month that I didn't get to, or rather I read the bigger ones first and kept the smaller ones for Shorty September. And one of them is a debut novel by a Japanese author, The Woman in the Purple Skirt by Natsuko Imamuro, translated from the Japanese by Lucy North. And this has 216 pages, but look at the font. I mean, it's huge. So for me, this qualifies for a shorty. It is about harassment in the workplace, kind of. The woman in the purple skirt feels watched by a coworker. Weird things are going on. Again, the unhinged woman, a women project kind of plays into this. And it just sounded interesting. And it's a debut novel. I'm always interested in discovering new authors. So, yeah. The next one has been on my unread list for quite a while. That's Julie Otsuka, The Buddha in the Attic, published in 2011. And it is, Julie Otsuka is a Japanese-American writer, and this is historical fiction set in the early 20th century between the two wars, when immigrant workers from Japan, Korea, and other Asian countries in the US were looking for brides and picture brides, because they wanted to marry somebody from their home country, from their native country. And so these women, whose story is told here, they embark on a journey from Japan to the US to meet their husbands, so it's a matchmaking thing. They have only a picture. It sounded really fascinating. I have never read this author, but yeah, we'll see. And it's a shorty, definitely. Then again, a leftover from Women in Translation Month, a French author, Anne Serre, The Fool. It's 3 stories translated by Mark Hutchinson, The Fool, the Narrator, and The Wishing Table, published in, 2000 and something. So it's a contemporary, she's a contemporary writer, yes, 2005 originally, but the translation in English 2019. And this is a New Direction publication, and New Direction is one of the independent publishers that I try to read more of. I mean, not of the publisher, but their books. You know what I mean. And this author, she sounded interesting. I have never read, this is a really weird bump today. It's like all the way on this side. Let's try to at least push it a little bit to the other side. No, it's not working. We will just have to ignore it for the rest of the video. Anyway, so she sounded like an interesting contemporary author, a little bit in the Delphine de Vigan sphere, and that's an author I really, really like. So I thought I'd try. New Directions has various books out by her, but I thought I'd try the 3 short stories, because if I don't like those, then I will probably not go into novels of her. And then there are 3 left. The next one is Eudora Welty, The Optimist Daughter. This is also on my 1001 women authors, books by women authors that I have to read before I die list. It's published in the 1970s, 1972. And it's about set in a small town in Mississippi, and people of this town always felt good about Judge McKelver. He was quiet, solid, reassuring, just as a judge should be. And then he marries this very young woman, Wanda Fay, and people are just flabbergasted, especially his daughter, Lauren. So that's all I know. Eudora Welty, of course, more famous for her short stories. I also have a huge collection. I mean, the collected short stories that I hope to get to at some point. But this is definitely a shorty with 180 pages. So yeah, this is for Shorty September, Eudora Welty. The next one is also a bit longer, 2010-17, but again, big font. And I really want to get to this book, which is also on my 1001 books by women that I have to read. And this is Dorothy West, The Wedding. It is her last published work in the 1990s. 1995, shortly before she died. Dorothy West was one of the major figures of the Harlem Renaissance, and I have never read her, which is a crying shame. And this book, because it's her last work, and the theme of the book, it's about obviously a wedding. In 1953, the Coles family is gathering for the wedding of their daughter, and it's set in Martha's Vineyard, rich Black community gathering for this wedding, and it's a scandal, because what did the daughter do? She chose a white jazz musician from New York. So that's what the book is about. Sounds really intriguing. And the last one is nonfiction again, and that is Kinran, The Good Women of China, translated from the Chinese by Esther Tilsley. And this book was published in 2002. So Kinran is a Chinese journalist by origin, and she had a radio broadcast called Night words in the night breeze where women could call in and tell their stories. This all in the 1989, 1990-ish, and she wrote that down. Kinran then left Beijing and to the UK, and I think she currently still lives in England. She's now in her 60s. So this sounded really fascinating when I came across this book, and it is just under. It's a little more, 200 pages, but it's the kind of nonfiction that I thought you can read fast. And besides, I mean, the book is tiny. Look at that. So if you have 212 pages of this format, I think it still qualifies as a shorty. And by the way, I mean, where is the shorty police? I can pick whatever bloody book I want to read for Shorty September. So why am I trying to, explain why I still think I'm allowed to read a book that has a little more than those 200 pages? Yeah, never mind going into the psychology of this. So anyway, these are 10 books that are on my list for Shorty September. As I said before, there are a couple of more. I have 4 rereads on the list that I would like to get to, all very short. But yeah, you never know. And my plan is, like I said, not to force myself too much with the 30 books in 30 days, because I'm quite sure that I'm not going to make that. Next week I will be visiting my mom again, so it's probably not working to read a book a day. But with these short books that you can read in a day, I hope to. The aim is about 20, maybe. That would be fabulous. So then I'm, can counterbalance all the books that I got for my birthday. And now I'm just wasting your time by babbling. Anyway, Shorty September. These are my books pile of possibilities. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, I'm very much looking forward to your comments. And I'll see you all soon in the next one, next Sunday.